Hey, welcome into episode 11 of Unsafe Spaces. I'm Randy Cross, and I want to thank you for watching initially here and listening. Would encourage you to copy, a link to this whole podcast and distribute it as widely as you'd like. Love to see this getting as many views and as many listens as we can possibly get it to. But right now, let's kick this thing off and take a look back at the week that was. God, it's so mellow. And it wasn't really a mellow week. The big story last week was the so-called skinny repeal and replace that turned out to basically be dead on arrival on the floor of the Senate when it was voted down and no and gotten the old thumbs down from Senator John McCain. That's a whole different story, and we'll just sort of let that lie right where it is. Like I said, DOA. Next big story of the week that was in the last, 2 or 3 days, was the FBI has a new director in Christopher Wray, former, he has Atlanta roots, worked here locally, is an attorney from here, and I think him as the director of the FBI will clear a lot of various things up, no doubt. I love that little bag in the FBI. And Vegas was somewhere. I was there last week with the Mountain West Conference and their media days. And as I was leaving town, the AAU Hoops tournament was coming into town. So there were dozens and dozens of really, really tall, way too young looking people getting ready to play a little hoops tournament. And when you're talking AAU hoops, you can't talk AAU hoops without LeVar Ball and his collection of kids who also play basketball. LeVar Ball did. And again, with a little exposure to the media, LeVar proved that he is a life support system for a butthole. Getting on to the next story of last week, it was sanctions on Russia. Everyone's talking about Russia this and Russia that. Well, sanctions were approved by Congress and it was signed by President Trump. A whole new set of sanctions go into effect against Russia, that supposed group that we're helping, but we're not helping, and that's all too confusing for me. Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, is our president's favorite whipping boy. Again, all last week, Trump was going after his Attorney General, and General Kelly was named Chief of Staff of the White House, and he supposedly has told Sessions, don't worry about it, Jeff. You're cool. Your space is just fine. All right? Well, that leads me into the next story, which is the recent episode of Game of Thrones. So you'll hear a lot of "you're just fine," but about in Game of Thrones, when you hear "you're fine," you're about to get a sword in the back.
A Targaryen cannot be trusted.
The Mad King's daughter will destroy the realm.
We have an army, a fleet, and 3 dragons. We should hit King's Landing now.
Yeah, I'm not going to ruin it for any of you probably, but that whole fleet and 3 dragons thing didn't go so well. Next story up, the stock market. How about that this whole week? Over 22,000 now. In fact, yesterday, first time ever, it's closed over 22,000. And it is it's like a car on nitrous. Hit the NOS switch and it's going crazy. Led by Apple. Led by Amazon, a lot of other causes to where the stock market is. Great point being made by a lot of people. This isn't benefiting the Trump voters. So what? If you have money, you have an IRA, you have a 401k, it's going to be doing fine. Don't worry about it. Stock market good thing for everybody. Quit stressing about it. And as always, something to remember is that the truth, especially in Washington, D.C., is harder to find in politics than an honest man. And there aren't many honest men in Washington. You go up there, you automatically lose your honest man card. And my thought for the week to concentrate on, for all the other baloney that's going on in the so-called real world, football is back. NFL training camps open, ready to go. They'll be inflicting BS football on you in no time. They call it the exhibition season. They call it preseason, whatever. You pay full price, you get like 30% football. But college football, those teams are all going to start practicing here pretty quick, because August 26th is the first games of the year. There's a couple of them on CBS Sports Network. I've got one, which is USF at San Jose State, which also happens to be up directly against the Mayweather-McGregor fight. The one thing we've got going for us in our football game, doesn't cost $99 to watch us. But football in general is back. A lot of negative stuff this offseason around the game of football. A lot of it deserved, a lot of it well-earned. And when I say negative, I mean the whole issue of head trauma and CTE and all that. Yes, there are issues. Yes, there are problems with football. Yes, it can be dangerous to play the game of football. This just in, running full speed into other full-grown adults or other kids is not good for your head, okay? But, football is running the risk of becoming just another sort of get your way out of something sport. It happens in MMA. It happens in boxing. Those are the two best examples of you've got to do this in order to get out of your condition. And what that turns into is a game or a sport that's basically for the poor, the disadvantaged, the minority types. That is where football is headed right now. That is where football will be almost exclusively be in the not too distant future. They've earned that, but it will still be America's favorite game. It will just also be America's most dangerous and violent game. And it's back. And I can't watch enough of it personally. And just in case you're curious, knowing everything I know about football and the connection to head trauma, yeah, I'd do it all again. I love the game of football. Let's go from that right into Butthurt of the Week. Cue the Matador. Okay, enough of me dancing. We'll have a little bit of that later. But first story in Butthurt of the Week. We've all had that neighbor, whether you move into an apartment or you move into a townhouse or you move into a house. You've all had the neighbor that lived next door to you. I'm sorry, it's oil and water. You just don't get along. But very few questionable neighbors are as entertaining as this neighbor coming up here. My crazy redneck neighbor, just thing after thing sets this woman off. Every morning comes out, acts like an idiot. She says my kids can't play in the yard. All the other neighbors can't stand her.
Why does she? Oh, geez. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Is that a mullet?
Come over here a little bit more.
Is that a mullet or what?
Oh, it's so gross. Oh, now she wants to fight the FedEx guy.
This is how we live every day.
Bad enough to affect adults, but actually at the end here, you saw the voice or heard the voice of the little girl. This is how we live every day. Thank God for humans, because without humans and their entertainment value, we wouldn't have much to talk about here on Unsafe Spaces. That is for sure. Next one up is, it's a fat cat. Name, Mr. Handsome. Mr. Handsome was found by a shelter, turned into a shelter in North Carolina. 31, look at the size of that cat. 31 pounds. And the people at the shelter said, well, obviously, we have an obesity problem, not only with our people, but also with our animals. And Mr. Handsome's 31 pounds. He needs to lose 18 pounds. So he needs to be down to just a 13-pound cat. But they did give the old caveat, the qualifier. Well, Mr. Handsome it does have big bone structure. Oh, yeah? What other excuses? Does he have a thyroid problem? Is that why he's a fat ass? I love it. Mr. Handsome, though. Great looking cat. Love it. Love it. Next one up is might be one of the stories of the month, if not the year. And it's about a gentleman, of course, in Florida, who died in a meth lab explosion. Now, that, unfortunately, probably happens way too often. But the reason this happened is the best part of the story. This guy was in his trailer, and it was destroyed by a meth lab explosion. And it was caused by him, as his wife explained, lighting Blue Angels to amuse his wife. Now, Blue Angels are actually lighting flatulence, lighting farts. So they're blue when that happens. She explains that he's probably lying naked. He's probably lying naked up in heaven, laughing his ass off about this whole thing. She was found lying naked in the front yard because she had been blown into the front yard when this meth lab exploded. And she explained that they normally go to Del Taco because of the 59-cent taco nights. But they had decided in this case to go to Chipotle. And that, boy, I tell you what, she said, that the farts you get from that could fill a gas chamber. And she says, I know he's looking up from hell. He's looking up from hell, laughing his ass off, saying it was worth it. And she smiled through blackened teeth, apparently not caused by the fire. And she says she's going to sue Chipotle, not only for the death of her husband, but also because she got her eyebrows blown off. I love it. Your eyebrows blown off. Next up on our story of Butthurt of the Week, a guy that may be butthurt about this. It's his birthday this week. He just turned 40. But I called this the Tom Brady PSI, per square inch, video. Marshawn Lynch and Macklemore got in and sort of went in on Tom Brady and the whole PSI thing. Check this out. Oh, yeah, they went there.
Sean?
What's up with it, man? What's up? Y'all got that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see that.
Of course,
Marshall. Holyfield. Right on, man. Y'all go ahead, man. Pool open in the back.
So not only was Marshawn getting his jabs in about Deflategate, he was also getting his jabs in about the Tom Brady jersey thing, alluding to the fact that he was behind that jersey disappearing at the end of Super Bowl 51. Next up in the whole world that is our show, how about some real world news? The lead story in the real world news is not necessarily the biggest story in the world the last 7 days, but something that was pretty significant in the world of sports. Head football coach Eli Dancing died. 94 years old, great life. I have a personal story about Coach because he recruited me. I went to Crespi High School, which is in Encino, California. It's a Catholic all-boys high school. And when it came down to my top four, and Notre Dame was in my top four, I had to tell him, you know what? I can't go there. I just spent 4 years in an all-boys high school. I can't go to an all-men's college. That ain't happening. So I knocked it down in Nebraska, Alabama, and UCLA. And ended up going to UCLA. But Eli Parseghian dead at 94, and a lot of great tributes to the coach.
Start with coaching, and we start on a sad note with the passing of Eli Parseghian, former Northwestern and Notre Dame head coach, passed away Wednesday morning at the age of 94. His head coaching career actually started at Miami, a job that opened up when Woody Hayes left to take over at Ohio State. Spent 5 years at Miami, won 2 MAC titles, got the Northwestern job. In 8 seasons, was 1 game above 500, then went to Notre Dame in South Bend His teams never finished outside the top 15 in the final AP poll, won 2 national championships in 66 and 73. Those 2 teams were undefeated. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame 6 years after his retirement in 1980.
And clarifying 2 things, Coach Parseghian, it was Miami, Ohio, was the Miami that they alluded to there. And just to give you a point of reference, at one point of his stay at Northwestern, to let you know what kind of a coach he was, he had Northwestern ranked number 1 in the country. Northwestern, which is 10 times harder to get number 1 in the country than Stanford. But it's hard. But Eric Parseghian dead at 94 years old. Another one of these stories cropped up this week where, you remember Mother Teresa in the tree that was torn down, or seeing Jesus in a cloth, or seeing the Mother Mary in a pizza or something. Just bear with me here and give me some input maybe. Is this really look like Jesus? A mushroom? Okay, a village in Mexico sees Jesus in this. Seriously? Are you kidding me? To make it all worse, it's like some relic, some holy relic, because somebody saw Jesus' face in a mushroom. Not a big deal, but to me it's crazy. Absolutely nuts. You see Jesus in here. Do you see Jesus in there, or if you eat the mushroom, you see Jesus? I don't know which one they had, to be more specific. Okay, next story. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants. Not great quarterback, but a really good quarterback. Dancer? Not so much. Here's a great reason why Eli should never dance where there can be a camera. Because, look at this. That's Eli dancing. Yeah, just don't do it. Or as Nancy Reagan used to say, just say no. Just no. Just don't do it. Don't dance. Eli, it's not a good look. Something happened the other night at a Cleveland Indians Boston Red Sox game 2 nights ago that is worth taking another look at. It's been featured on the news quite extensively. But center fielder Austin Jackson of the Cleveland Indians made what could be one of the greatest catches in Major League Baseball history. Center field, and the ball is hit extremely well. Looks like a home run into the bullpen of the Boston Red Sox. There goes Austin Jackson. And the great angle is this next one that shows him and how far over he was extended. I'm pretty impressed by that jump over the wall, by the way. Look at that. That is one of the best baseball catches you will ever see. So much for baseball highlights. You've got to watch 14, 15 baseball games in a night to find a highlight that looks halfway as good as that one. Next up is Outback Steakhouse was in the news last week for a lot of various reasons. Not always the best ones in this case. And I know the guys that founded Outback Steakhouse. Chris Sullivan and Bob Basham down in Tampa have done a fabulous job with this restaurant. But they got some little publicity last week that's a little bizarre, as in this whole conspiracy theory. They took locations of Outbacks in various parts of the country and said you could draw a pentagram from the locations. Now, Outback's response was pretty classic in that they said, hey, look, we have 1,000 locations. You can probably draw a lot of different things in between all our locations. But the theory is that Outback Steakhouse is a front for a satanic cult. Yeah, I said that. You see the devil's face? See that devil's face? Do you see that in the steak? Is it there? Well, there's a lot of heat, and where there's heat, there's steak. And where there's heat and there's steak, there's the devil. Good luck with that. Pentagrams and locations. Give me a break. I love it. Well, from that crazy idea, let's go right into tin foil hat stories. Number one on our list of tinfoil hat stories. There is a story I came across this week that was kind of, I guess, concerning, only because so many people took it seriously, or they took it seriously enough to make a big old long, about 30-minute video. Some of the highlights were going to cut down to about 40 seconds. But the gist of this story is that the people uncovered that in Mesopotamia, and for those of you that aren't big on geography, that's basically parts of Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, that whole area where the ancient Persians were and Mesopotamians before that, that in Mesopotamia 12,000 years ago, there was a nuclear blast. They came across a small piece of tile that we'll show you here in a little bit that said, in their mind, was proof that there was a nuclear blast 12,000 years ago. And this evidence was supposedly made about 2,500 years ago. So it was recollecting on something that had happened a little less than 10,000 years before. Check this out.
Did a nuclear blast wipe out the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro? What was discovered was dangerously high radioactivity levels, skeletons frozen in a moment of panic, and pottery melted into glass, which could only have been achieved if the material was exposed to an extreme blast of some type of heat.
Could be a volcano, huh? Okay, there's the tile. So circled is the bomb. On the right is the mushroom cloud. And this piece of tile was found in Mesopotamia, or in the Iraq, Iran, that general Syria area. And it was in a little container. And when they took it out, that's what they found. And supposedly dating it as far as the pottery and whatnot, it's about 2,500 years old. So not hard to extrapolate a bomb on the left and a mushroom cloud on the right. And what damn point of reference would a 12,000-year-old Mesopotamian have if he saw a mushroom cloud? He wouldn't even know to run. Hell, I don't give most people nowadays enough sense that they would know to run. But it's worth at least reading about and considering. Considering another little news story. Supposedly, in South America, in a lake, they have found evidence that is where ancient Atlantis really was.
Lake Titicaca. Lake Titicaca. Lake Titicaca. This familiar named lake is located deep within the Andes. According to Christoph, divers from his team found the objects more than 7 meters underwater off the coast of the island of the Sun. According to Colonel John Blashford Snells, a notorious explorer, his extensive explorations of the lake, the ancient city of Tiwanaku, very near the lake shores, copied their original building knowledge from the scientists of the mysterious and legendary lost city of Atlantis. Interestingly, ancient Incan legend also corroborates his conclusions, stating that the mythical founders of their amazing empire did indeed once emerge from the lake's waters.
I'm sorry. We ran that Lake Titicaca a couple of times. I'm 63 years old, and I'm a dude. I'm male. So obviously, when I hear Lake Titicaca, I laugh. And be honest, so did you. A couple things on this. Lake Titicaca, as noted, is in Bolivia, which is in South America, okay? Atlantis as a story was first traced back to the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Now, how in the hell would Plato know about South America? Come on, dude. What are you, crazy? Well, that is a rhetorical question, obviously. Next up in our tinfoil hat story, and that's something that if you're looking for a trip to outer space, if you want to be in a situation where you can get a free ride, I suggest you go to India, because under a temple in India, they have found a spaceship.
In the far south of India, opposite the island of Sri Lanka in the state of Kerala, sits an ancient mysterious temple containing 6 vaults that have been the subject of deep controversy. One vault in particular, labeled B has no written or oral record of ever being opened for as long as the shrine has been in existence.
That would be B.
When it came to opening the vault B, it had been sealed shut with a heavy solid cast iron door without a latch. According to an Austrian journalist Reinhard Smueller, inside the vault was found a dark gray, very smooth elongated capsule, with no discerning opening. Propped up against the capsule were 7 human mummified remains. The human remains showed no signs of violent death, and appeared to be dressed in a thick material with the consistency of silk.
So, 2 things. You found a spaceship, and you found these 6 dudes leaning up against the ship, who were all dead in silk. This is either a spaceship and the 6 people that were going to travel in it, or it's a metal object that 6 dudes thought was a spaceship and they died waiting for their ride. I'm guessing on point B. You know, in Vault B, I'm guessing that's the case. They died waiting for their ride. No obvious openings, solid object, probably not a spaceship. Sorry to ruin the punchline for you there, but probably not a spaceship. Next up is one of our federal agencies is getting involved in a couple of these stories, but supposedly there's a large group out there that believe that radar will now prove that the world is surrounded by aliens. Ha ha. Yeah.
Indianapolis, Aries 31 has traffic 2 o'clock, slightly above.
So one of the biggest gripes that I hear from skeptics and from your normal, average, everyday researchers is that when it comes to UFOs, if they exist and if we are being visited by off-world entities flying in off-world vehicles, then why is there such a scarcity of up-close, HD, high-resolution video and photographic footage?
That's easy to explain. There's no Wi-Fi where every redneck lives. That's only how many bars you got. Okay, next part of this story is NASA scientists are now saying that we have to prepare for visitors. Not only are they circling the Earth, but we now have to prepare for visitors out there.
The generation now alive is privileged to see the birth pangs of the birth of a new civilization.
Don't be frightened. We mean no harm.
And today, a group of scientists overseas say that world governments should start preparing an action plan just in case Earth is contacted by aliens. They claim that a branch of the UN should be given responsibility for what they call a supra-Earth affairs and come up with a detailed response for if or when the extraterrestrials arrive.
Yes. And all those, the wonderful people at NASA have made news in another way this week. And that is that you can get a job now with NASA that is available. And actually it was posted and talked about by the person that currently holds the position. It's a NASA Director of Alien Defense and Interactions. A 3-year deal with a 2-year option. Pay $124,000 to $187,000. Roll the tape.
And liftoff. Welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy.
Planetary protection officers. You love that? For some pretty good jack, too. 124 to 184? Wow, that's a pretty good job. And you really got to just, protect the world from aliens. Well, there's over 200 spaceships out there, according to some people. So you might have your tough work. But don't worry, the job won't never get to the 3 or 5 year period because they're going to take over by then. Of course. Something we've started to do here every week for the last month or so is feel good stories. the whole birth of Jesus thing and anything having to do with religion usually just sets some people's hair on fire, drives them crazy. They don't want to see anything about this. Well, hats off to this production company. Hats off to these movie makers, because they've decided to make a movie called Star.
For centuries, one story has touched the lives of people across the world. This holiday season, you're invited to discover the story of the first Christmas from an entirely new perspective.
Hang on! Cyrus! Down up!
I expected a left turn 2 deserts ago.
These wise guys are lost. That's it. I'm fighting through the rains.
From the studio that brought you Miracles from Heaven and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Stephen Yun, Keegan-Michael Key, Gina Rodriguez, Zachary Levi, Kelly Clarkson, Patricia Heaton, Kristen Chenoweth, Tyler Perry, Tracy Morgan, and Oprah Winfrey.
King Herod is up to something.
Mary, you're in danger. You need to listen to what I'm about to say extremely carefully.
Do you want a belly rub?
The Star.
You jump out and create a distraction.
Hey, here it goes!
There's something seriously wrong with those animals.
There we go. The Star should be a great event. It's definitely a holiday theme and a holiday movie. And if you got little kids or grandkids or whatever, or if you have a little kid in you, go ahead and check this movie out. It should be a lot of fun. Told here at the very end that we've got a community service announcement. So hang on, and I guess we'll just roll the tape.
2017. A world divided, with only one thing that can unite us all. No, not that.
Sharks. Why is it always gotta be sharks?
Yep, we're making America bait again.
This could be the last curtain call.
No, wait a minute. Sharknado 5? That's not a public service announcement. That's, Sharknado, they're making hold on, guys, they're making a Sharknado 5. I will not promote that. I refuse to, and I only got to say thanks for watching. Thanks for checking us out. Remember, we're on iTunes, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on SoundCloud. We're almost everywhere. And please, copy, paste, forward, like, whatever it takes. Let's get this thing out there and let's get this thing rolling. Love to get it in front of as many people as possible. Do a lot of hard work here. You know, Ray Hems. Ray, what's your name, damn it? Hey, Ray Hems, Andrew Doyle? Andrew Doyle? Yeah. Andrew Doyle does a lot of the stuff on the show. Andrew Hems helps them out, and they do a fantastic job. Just joking. Hey, enjoy this, and as we say every week, happy trails.
Happy trails.